Hello, welcome to Project Insight's Power Tutorial Series, where we highlight new ways in which Project Insight gives superpowers to project managers and organizations using our award-winning tool. Today, we're chatting capacity. A few
Yeah.
housekeeping items. Everyone will be on mute. If you've got any questions, feel free to use the chat. Feel free to say hi there now. Maybe share where you're joining from. I'm in Phoenix, pretending like it's cold at 70 degrees in a jacket.
Yeah, I'm in
My name,
I'm in
my name's
California here.
yeah, Steve, and Steve's joining me via California. My name's Matthew Sparks, and with me is Steve West. Steve has more than 2 decades of experience helping thousands of organizations make their work life easier through project management. As the founder and CEO of Project Insight, he's my boss. He's wonderful. These 15 minutes are gonna fly by. You
I
ready to
know,
go,
right?
Steve?
Yeah, we've got a lot to cover, and I'm sharing my screen here. We're gonna throw it up on there and just kind of show you. This is a 10-week capacity report. Now, a lot of people want to. This is the kind of information a lot of people would like to get out of a tool like Project Insight, and I'm going to show you how this report actually works. What you're seeing here, these are the resources, and there's a graph here that shows how much uh, this green line here shows them their total capacity that they could work. In this case, all these resources could have a capacity of 40 hours, and that's based on the work calendar. And then you can see there's a green bar here for how much has actually been scheduled. And you can
Yep.
see our resource here, Brett Favre is over allocated this week because it's red above the line. And then over allocated here, Craig Young is over allocated here as well. And this information is coming from all of the projects in the tool, both top down estimating and bottom up estimating. So we've recently added within the last year the top down concept. If I want to see why these resources are over allocated, I can actually expand this, and then now I'm seeing the project level, how many hours and what projects Brett Favre is connected to. And you can see the majority of these hours are actually on this top down project where there's 30 and 10 and 30 and 30. And these are actually bottom up projects with 1.3, 2.2, 4.4. If I want to see what tasks they are, I can see he's got this task setup reports that's 3 weeks long that is taking this much time. And down here, I can see this top down project, and we just called it that. It could be your project names here, but we're
Yep.
doing that to make it easy for ourselves to understand. In this top down project, you can see there's allocation here of 30 hours and 10 hours and 30 hours and 10 hours and all of that. And what's really cool about what we can do here in Project Insight is you can actually edit this data right from here. If I want this top down project, I know it's going to take more than 30 hours a week on average for Brett. I can just click on it here, and you can see this project starts in October and goes on quite a bit. I'm zoomed a little, so it's a little bit more, but I can go in here and just change the default to say 35 hours. And in fact, now it's 35 hours. And you can see this week I overrode the default and made that 15. 10, I'll make it 15 now, and I'll make the 12 uh 3, I'll make that 20, and then 12 10, I'll make it go 50, so it shows an over allocation. I hit save, the report actually gets overwritten right now. In fact, I just over allocated. There's the 35, the 15, the 20, the 50 I just edited. So you could edit that right from here on this report. And same thing with the bottom up type of project. I can actually also level this by clicking on here and see, well, why is it point 4? This particular task doesn't have a lot of hours, but we gave them, a lot of duration to do that. But this is another aspect of the tool is um, you can take a bottom up task like this one, and this one's real easy one. It's 5, 5, 5, 5, and 5. If I want to actually increase that another 5 hours, I can level it right here, and now it's going to be 25 hours for that week. So you can edit the bottom up information right from the report, and you can edit the top down information from that report.
And that's where I think it's so powerful, right? I don't think there's a lot of other platforms out there where you can have these two different methodologies that you go, where you can look at the granularity of how are you, Brett, doing this task over the next 20
Yeah.
weeks, 10 weeks, versus, hey, just high level, I need you, Brett. And I'm excited as we go through to,
Mhm.
continue
Yeah,
showing the platforms. The other point to mention also is those green level lines can be unique to each individual. So if
that's
Brett,
right.
an employee that works 24 hours specifically and isn't available 40 hours, we can set those via the calendars that Steve had mentioned, which is great.
Yeah, in fact, I'll show that right now because a lot that is a very common question. The other thing is that many of our clients, they'll be doing a capacity report like outside of their project plans in a spreadsheet or something like that. And what we've done here is made it so that as long as you just put your project plans in the tool, whether they're a top-down project or a bottom-up project, this report is just automatically generated for you. So you don't need to keep this extra spreadsheet outside of the tool. You just put the projects in one time and this report is across the whole system. It can be filtered by various different things. We're probably not going to get into that today, but uh, you can definitely get a good overview of everything in the whole tool. So to change someone's capacity, it's actually pretty straightforward. You just need to edit their profile, go to the resource info, and then you can say this person's Patrick Insight is the logged in user I am. You would just go to Brett Favre, and instead of it being 100, if I just leave it blank, the default's 100. But I can say, well, this person's capacity is going to be 50%. That means that they could work 20 hours a week on a standard calendar. Or if I made it 75, then they would be able to work 30 hours and that green line would come down to 30 instead of 40. So it's that simple. The other area that there's other areas and ways that you can edit the capacity and bulk, but that's at the fundamental level. It's right on the profile.
It's so nice to be able to do that way and then just level it out, right? Have
Yeah.
everybody have their appropriate
Mhm.
workflow. You can't do that in spreadsheets fundamentally. If I have my
Right.
spreadsheet here on my project and you're running yours over there, we have no cross pollination between those, right? Where
Exactly. Some other things that are important is that you can roll these reports up. So I'm looking at just the top level each person, but I can roll this up by like different by a resource type. So here I can get this is an aggregation of all my consultants and how much time they have, and then who the consultant role is, or who the designer roles are, and what their total capacity is. So you can roll this same exact report. You can roll it up different ways. You can do it by department, by resource type, by task, or by other aspects too. Even custom fields you can roll this up by, so you can see how your people, um, how it gives you an aggregation basically. And another really cool thing about this report, and a lot of people ask for, is I want to see the total work against the actual time entries. Because remember, Project Insight has a time entry built right in to be able to bill your clients or just to track your time for your actual versus your scheduled. You can see these are in the past, and there was 30 hours scheduled, and then Adam put in 40. And you can do the same thing where you break it down and actually see the individual lines where the actual time entries were put in and where they land. So that's another really important aspect of these reports. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how do I start a whole top-down project, because you might have a bunch of projects going on and you want to know, how do I start this process? So here I have this project. I already created it, called New Idea for Project. And it's really quite simple. You just need to go to the resource allocation planning and click it. And now I can add my resources and put what their default is. So I'm going to go ahead and input Adam Lewis in and say, I'm going to need him for 30 hours. Then I'm going to need Brett Favre for probably 20 hours. And just
and
go
those
through your resources, just like I showed on the report. This is how you do a brand new project. You can change how long the project is. Maybe it's only a 10-week project, 12-week project. It's all dynamic. And then you can even override, a week. Like this week, I know it's only going to be 10 hours. So it's real simple to do this. This is kind of like takes away a spreadsheet. And if I hit save now and I run back to that report, you should see more hours. Boom, I made Adam really busy
And
because
Brett.
yeah, they're busier now. And I can actually go in there and see, oh, here's my new idea project. And I can, again, like I showed before, I can adjust this up or down. Maybe lower that a little bit and it'll just dynamically lower that. So this is when you're thinking about doing a new project, you don't know what the steps are yet. You want to get a rough idea of what's going to happen if you do this project, then you would go ahead and create the project, throw it in there, and it'll show up on this report. Now, if you there's more. We don't have time to get into this, but you can make that report show up or not show up, make it active or not active, so you can do a little more what if planning. And
Scenario
yeah,
planning. Yeah.
there's more to it than that, but the simplest level, just make a project, throw your estimated hours in there, and pick who you think might do it, and they'll show up on here, and it'll give you a sense of how busy they are, but also shows up on this other roll up too. And another really uh, big question people ask us all the time is, does it have to be a real person? No, it doesn't have to be a real person. You can actually put this time on a placeholder resource. So if I go back to that capacity planning screen that I showed you, you can pick. I think I have one in here. This design team. They're usually they're a business analyst. They're
Yep.
the ones that have the square. That means it's a placeholder. I can go in there and say I'm going to need a business analyst for 40 hours. Now that won't show up on the individual capacity, but it will show up in this report that rolls up by role. There you go. Boom. I just got the business analyst is in here. And now I've reduced my business, my planner type role capacity just got eaten up by that. So you can actually plan not just by individual people you think might be on it, but it can be by role and still see how busy your team is as an overall person.
And that's so powerful as you go to slate those projects into your queue for the next year or the next
Yeah.
quarter or whatever that looks like, so that way you can quickly see,
Mhm.
by team or by individual. One of the other things too that was on the drop down were the concept of tracking even non-human, tracking your
Yeah.
machine, tracking your equipment, which we have
Right.
the ability to do here also,
Yep.
at no cost, right, from a user perspective, which I think is really powerful
Yeah.
also.
The
So,
resources don't have to be a licensed user. They can be just resources that you're planning with.
yep.
I want to show now the more of the bottom up um, planning here. And here's just a regular plan with all of the tasks in it. The report will show this bottom up data in here too. So, um, and all you have to do is put your plan in and it'll appear here. And what's really cool, let me just go to this other one. What's really cool about this, when you're planning a task or you want to edit one, I can actually get the capacity here as well and see how busy is Brett Favre going to be and look at that information right from the task list. So let's say I want to put 40 hours on here. Now what's the capacity? Oh my goodness, I'm over allocating
Ooh,
him. And instead of Brett Favre, I can see, well, who else could do this? And I get a suggestion of other resources that have more capacity. I can actually assign this task
yourself.
to Steve instead. I'm actually going to cancel that because I really don't want to change that and reload it here. But you can basically get a preview of that as well, right from here. And you can also level your resource from here too. You see this little arrow here. You can level your resource, or you could just say, I just want to suggest somebody straight away by using the magnifying glass. We'll just
Yep.
let you search for somebody, but you can preview, see that he's over allocated, suggest, assign the suggested people, or you can just suggest straight away someone to add to this project. And one other question we get quite a bit, because we only got about a minute to go on this 15-minute tutorial, is
Yeah.
can I get warned that someone's going to be over allocated? I'm actually on the configuration page for the capacity. There's an option right here, present an alert message to PM when they over allocate someone. And I'll just go ahead and save that setting. And what's great about that is if I go now back to that project plan, and let's say I'm going to edit Brett Favre and make him do 40 hours. Oops, I can't
Oh,
save it now because it's telling me that's making him over. And I chose the option that lets you override it, which is our default. You really should let someone override. Say, okay, I know I'm making a scheduling conflict, but I want to go ahead and do this anyway. So there's ways to get warned. If I lower him back down to the 20 hours that we started with, no warning because I'm now not over allocated. This particular task didn't make him over. But if I go and make it, 40 hours, try to save it. Oops, I shouldn't. I can't do that. So there's that feature is available as well. It has been for quite a while, but that's a popular feature that some people really want to have in the tool.
and again, that's so great because it's tying back to their capacity that we showed, right? His
That's right.
individual contributing, capacity is what that's tying back to. One of the other parts, Steve, if you don't mind, really quick, going back to the task list on the suggest. One of
Sure.
the things that I think is really powerful also is in the event that you don't have anybody in here, or even if you're just looking for somebody, the fact that we have the logic in place to find available task appropriate person, right? Somebody who can do this specific resource
Right.
task type, by default, by just clicking that button, I think is just amazing. So I just
Yeah, it's
wanted
a little bit of AI there that determines the people who are most like Brett that have the capacity. And it's ranked and sorted in that order by the other individuals that are the same resource, the same department, the same characteristics as as the person you want to use. And then of course if you don't like these 5 resources, like you need to maybe they're too busy, or you can actually search for more, and it gives you more people in descending order of the likelihood that they're similar. So a little bit of AI there to do that part of the tool, for helping suggest the resource to replace someone. And that's what's really great here is, here I am working on my bottom up project. I can say I want to insert a new task just like this, and I know it's going to be 10 hours and it's going to be 40. And if I go in here, I don't know, I don't have anybody yet. Just suggest someone.
yep,
Brett Favre could do this. He's down on the list far because he's
he's
the
full.
least available,
Yep.
and these are the resources most available to do that task. So there's ways that you can just use the capacity, just bake it in, assign it. Now I picked Kendall. Click OK, save it. It went to her. All while you're kind of working your WBS, you can get that information right from here.
Yeah, which is I think those exact time savings pieces that really makes this such a powerful tool for when you are in their capacity planning and
Yeah.
your project out. So, please, we did go over a few minutes. Thank you so much for that. Reach out with questions on how we could help, capacity plan in your Project Insight workspace. You can reach out to me directly. My email is matthew.sparks@projectinsight.com. We'll have that up. And then if you're not a customer of ours and you'd like to learn more about how we can make your work life easier, that is our mission. We definitely want to show you that through capacity planning, bring that value and earn the business. Please reach out. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thanks,
Thanks a
Steve.
lot. Great. Thank you.